So in this video, let's talk about why Apple stock is falling super fast here in early 2025. So I recently bought some Apple stock and I bought it in late November, right before the Christmas season, and everything was looking up. But then all of a sudden, after the growth, it just started going downhill in January. And you're wondering, so what's up? Why is the powerful Apple stock just going down, tumbling, falling, burning away? Should you be worried? What are the reasons why? So let's take a look. So I'm no stock expert by any means, but I recently started to dabble in stock, and I bought some Apple stock on Robinhood. And it's a simple, I bought, Apple was a good buy. It's a very powerful company, biggest company in the world. It's probably going to be worth, $3 trillion or 4 trillion, whatever that number is. Historically, it's been a very good stock, but for some reason, it fell like around 10% since the time I bought it. In 1 month, it fell about 10%. And it's scaring a lot of people. A lot of big investors, they're kind of worried about the stock. They don't have a lot of faith in it. But what could it be? Well, there's a little bit of insight. Apple had its earnings call in late January. I think it was January 20th. And, Tim Cook gave a lot of numbers, a lot of positive numbers. It's made a lot of revenue. It's, the sales are still through the roof. Best quarter ever, he says, for all of its, all of its revenue. Apple's making a lot of money. They're bringing in a lot of cash. But what investors have, they have different reasons on why they are, even though there's a lot of income, they get kind of worried about what a company does. And that's going to, affect the stock. And in this case, there's been several reasons, but the biggest one so far is going to be the slump of iPhone sales in China. Yes. So Apple is not doing, I guess, that well in the iPhone market in China. It's losing out to competitors locally in China. And that's not a good sign. See, Apple is heavily dependent as a company on how its iPhone sells. It's 40% of Apple's growth. It's 40% of Apple's earnings, its income. Basically, 40% of Apple as a whole does good when the iPhone does good. It's really, ever since it's been launched, the iPhone affects Apple most directly, more than its Macs, more than all its other hardware, its laptops, its computers. And recently, Apple has launched a lot of good products as well. It's a lot more diverse now. They have AirPods, the Apple Watch, iPads, all that stuff. But the iPhone is still number one. And that's the main reason why. It has to do with China. Another reason why Apple has been kind of flopping around with its stock is because Apple Intelligence, people are not really impressed by it. It's been a flop so far. They've been doing staggered releases of Apple Intelligence over the past couple of months, and it hasn't been a real useful and practical success. Another thing that Tim Cook probably mentioned why it wasn't doing that good as well, our adoption rate of Apple Intelligence, is because that it's only available in the US, and also it's only limited to a few of its models. So it's going to be the iPhone 15 Pro and newer, all of the iPhone 16 models. So that might be a reason why people are scared of it. But I think that later on, as more people upgrade their devices, they're going to get more Apple Intelligence features. But as a whole, it is a flop. It doesn't do much. It's more of a gimmick. I'm not really impressed by that, and that really influences the stock. Um, yeah, it's really pretty much comes down to China and iPhone sales there. Apple Intelligence has been a flop, and not to mention the recent tariffs that the import tariffs, 10%, things that are made in China and being sold here in the U.S., brought into the U.S. That's going to be what is making the stock go down as well. Apple is trying to diversify and get out of China little by little, so it's not heavily dependent on it. They're doing things like making their stuff in India, and was it Taiwan, and other countries to try to diversify, its impact on things like this. That'll help it out with the tariffs. Not to mention, I think there's other reasons why Apple has kind of been in the flip flop market here with the stocks, and it's not doing as well. It hasn't been good that Vision Pro was a flop. It's not selling well. Apple has stopped investing into they dropped the Apple Card project, so there's no Apple Card coming. Basically, Apple is kind of in the position where it's not innovating anymore. It's kind of playing catch up. It's feeling kind of stagnant in the hardware department. In the services department, that's where Apple really shined in the past couple of years. If it wasn't for the Apple, like Apple Music, Apple Services, Apple TV Plus, things like that, Apple, all the Apple stuff, its storage that it sells online, the App Store, all those type of things, and its wearables departments, Apple would be losing so much more, be a lot less valuable company, and its earnings would be terrible because 40% of its sales and its income is dependent on the iPhone. The iPhone has been, any model of iPhone is pretty good now. People are keeping their phones a lot longer than before, and they're not buying as much. And that's not good. Investors want to see innovation. They want to see what's coming next, and Apple is really not delivering as much. It's like the good times seem to be over, even though it keeps growing and growing and growing. There's more than 2.3 billion Apple devices, active Apple devices, but it's not good when the iPhone does bad. That's pretty much it, and that's the reason why Apple stock is down in the beginning of 2025. Now, you shouldn't sell your Apple stock by any means, because obviously this is a slow period right now. Apple stock soared right after or right before the holiday season with Christmas. People are going to buy everything, iPhones, Macs, iPods, pretty much every single Apple product is going to be selling. But after that, the sales are really going to go down. I mean, by a lot. So it's kind of natural. But, Apple has to get its stuff together. Tim Cook is squeezing pennies, getting the most out of it. Its heyday is kind of past it. There's not any one product that you could look forward to and say this is going to be a hit as much as the iPhone has. So yeah, let's take a look and see what happens. But these are the reasons why Apple has been suffering with the stock lately.